Hello, State of Jefferson. This is Chris Thompson with Mountaineer IT to bring you some helpful IT tips on your email and personal and business. Well, today we're going to be talking about phishing attacks, spear phishing attacks, and also spoofing when it comes to email. Now, what's the difference between the three? Right? There's more, but we'll just focus on these three. So a phishing attack is a broad email sent out to millions of users that is to trick them into thinking that their PayPal account or their bank website or something like that has emailed them asking for information, and a user will sometimes put in the information thinking that it's legitimate, and then they get hacked because they put in their username and password or any kind of personal information into a fake email that is designed to obtain information. That's what regular phishing emails do. Now, spear phishing is a little bit more in depth because it focuses on you as an individual. So if you were to do something like you were updating your PayPal or you were updating your bank account, and then all of a sudden you get this email saying there's an there's an alert or emergency on your account, you would kind of panic, right? Be like, oh no, I was just messing with that. That's kind of more spear phishing. It's kind of directed towards a single person. Now, spoofing is what we call is when someone was to take someone let's say you have a friend, Joe Bob, and he has an email address at bob@yahoo.com. What they do is they spoof his email address, so then you would receive an email from bob@yahoo.com, and it looks like it's from him, but it's really not. It's a counterfeit. It's not really his email. So that's what can lead to spoofing, and also problems where someone's like, hey, I need some money. Like if you had like a relative or something like that who's like, hey, I'm in financial debt, I need some help, and they send you an email asking for money, and they can get spoofed, and then it looks like it's really from them, so then you send them money. And this actually is a big problem. It kind of seems like it wouldn't be, but a lot of people have lost, this is $1 billion industry, people have lost lots of money because of things like this. So what we'll do is we'll just dive in here, have kind of an example email of some things to look at and some red flags that you would want to watch for when you receive an email. And just always think about it, like if when in doubt or if you question it at all, just stop and think about it for just a second. Alrighty, so in here we have our don't get hooked email, and it has a lot of information in here, and I'd be more than happy if anyone would like this diagram. I can send it your way. Just let me know in the comments on the Facebook page. So what we'll do is we'll start out with the top here, so from field. Now, one thing you want to watch for is making sure it's from a legitimate sender, making sure it's from a legitimate source. Now, let's say if it's a website like, let's say if it's your PayPal account sending you email, right? If it was to say PayPal and then all of a sudden it says at Gmail or at a not really reputable domain name or email address, then that would be a good red flag to worry about. Another thing in here that they don't really mention in this list, but I like to talk about, is the date. Look at the date stamp and the time it was sent to you. If it's sent at like 3 or 4 in the morning, just something a little off hours than your normal business hours, then that's a good indicator. Sally down the street is not going to email you at 2 in the morning. I mean, unless they needed some coffee and couldn't get to sleep or something. But typically they won't email you at 2 or 3 in the morning. So it's good to look at the time that you received the email. Also, just be suspicious of the headers here. So, dear customer, if it's very vague, to whom it may concern, dear customer, nothing really personal. It's it's a good indicator. You gotta be careful. Also, just watch for if there's a lot of grammar, spelling, or little things like that in the text, then that usually gives you a decent idea that it's fake. You also want to be suspicious of emails where they're like immediate action, like, hey, you have to respond to this in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is, and like take something that makes you feel tense and makes it so you like, oh, I've got to respond to this right away. Don't worry about it. It's if it was a legitimate concern, most people or most companies will call you. They don't just email you and say like, oh, you didn't respond to me. If they do, they shouldn't do that. And then another good trick, and I like this here, is when you are doing the tracking information, if you say this is a website right here, and you were to hover over this FedEx.com, but then when you hover over it with your mouse, you can actually see the real URL. So if they mismatch, if they don't match up at all between these two, then that's a really big red flag. So they're telling you that it goes to this website, but when you actually hover over it, it tells you that what the real website is going to. And so you want to be careful of that. Also, any attachments, if you don't know where it's coming from, I wouldn't open it. If it's from a friend or a relative, and you trust it, then that's okay, like pictures and things like that. But anything else, I wouldn't open it. Text documents, Excel spreadsheets, Word documents, PDFs, zip files, all of that stuff can be very harmful for your computer. I was working with a client where they were ransomwared through a zip file in their email, and it was a resume. And they didn't know. They just thought it was a resume. They opened it up, and they brought down their company for a whole day. So that does happen. Well, I hope these are some good, quick tips for you to use for your business or for personal. Just stop and think about the email and making sure that you're being secure when you're going through it. And if you ever have doubts, if someone were to email you asking for help, just call the person who the email was supposedly from, and then that will usually clear it up right away. Well, thank you very much. And again, this is Chris with Mountaineer IT, and I hope you have a great day.